Let's touch on the fourth ghost of the six ghosts of fear that Napoleon Hill talked about in his book Think and Grow Rich. I won't hold you long on this one. We're just going to kind of skim across the surface. But I want to give you my interpretation of, or my analysis or my thoughts as to what actually causes this fear, at least what feeds the fear of the loss of love. Now, Napoleon Hill in the book, he stated that he believed that this fear had grown because of a man's habit of stealing his friend's wife and taking liberty with her whenever possible. However, now instead of getting her forcefully, he tries to persuade her with material things as bait. Now, when I read that, I think about modern society in general, across the board. This is not like a hidden thing or a subtle thing or small thing anymore. This is the way. These are the messages that we're bombarded with every day, especially when he talks about material things, right? And it is rampant now. It's so rampant that they will tell you quickly. They will promote this, support that, praise the attitude that they're in it, that women now are in it for the money. And the man's value is strictly derived from his ability to provide material assets. Now, this is not true in all cases. We know that. But what I'm talking about is the messaging that we see in large scale that we didn't see before. I'm talking as recent as 20, 30 years ago. This stuff has been changing fast. The messaging has been changing quickly. At least at one point when you had certain behaviors, you kind of did it in the dark, right? Now it's mainstream. Now it is publicized as the way to be. So when we talk the fear of loss of love, I think in his time he looked at it as one of these things that a man might go through because he thinks his wife might be attracted to his neighbor. It is nowhere on that same scale anymore. These young men now, and if you're a young man, I listen. I respect your struggle. I respect your struggle. As an older man, we like to say that things were different when I was younger, and the things that I went through. But I didn't see anything even close to this level of looseness when it came to quote unquote love, sex. I nowhere near it. There was nowhere near it because even if the mindsets were the same, and boys will be boys and girls will be girls, and it's been that way for hundreds of years, thousands of years, if not millions of years. If we didn't have the internet when I was a kid, right? It wasn't in your face 24/7, right? The boys didn't have to, everywhere they looked, saw a half-naked woman. We had to go get Playboys and forget the name of the other magazine, but we had to get magazines, sneak and get magazines to try to see a naked woman. And when we saw a naked woman, it was just that, a naked woman. It wasn't like things spread apart and all of that stuff. Nah, it was just a naked woman. And you really couldn't see a whole lot then because they were in some type of position where you could see just a little bit, right? But now, I mean, a kid, if you're smart enough, they can operate a cell phone. They can have access to anything they want to see, anything they want to see. And then the girls, it was totally different. They had some type of, it was respectable. It was not respectable for everybody to know that you were having sex with multiple men. In many cases, having sex, period. But now, I mean, my God, they do whatever they want to do, and it's accepted. It's mainstream, and you better not say nothing about it either. You better not have nothing to say about it. So, for the youngsters, I got nothing but respect for your struggle, and in some ways, I feel sorry for you in terms of your options, for lack of a better way to put it. Somebody may not like it. They may unsubscribe from the channel or never subscribe to the channel, but hey, I just call it like I see it. And this is a different type of video, but I get it. I understand why there's such a deep fear for the loss of love. I think there's a huge fear that the love doesn't exist in the first place. And I also think that men have learned that for them, it better be more about respect and honor and love, but not in the same sense that we see that sold nowadays. It's been misinterpreted, right? We label love the wrong way. So if you hung in this long, I appreciate you hanging with me, because I think what I'm about to say is very important, even though I see what I see in society today, right? And even though I see all the issues and problems that I see regarding females, women, I think it's hard to find a good woman for a lifelong partnership nowadays. Harder, because you have so many things working against you. But I do believe ultimately that much of the problems that men have in relationships are their own fault. I don't care how bad you say a woman is, or how unfit you say a woman is, or what type of issues you say a woman has. It all comes down to what you're willing to accept as a man, and then why you're willing to accept that. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we begin to figure out what's behind this fear. Think about it. If the fear is of a woman, your woman, being with another man, losing her love, right? So if it's about her, why do you think that? Why are you afraid why would she want to be with another man? It doesn't have to be real. It just has to be what you think. Why do you think that the woman that you quote unquote love would want to be with another man? And if you can answer that question, now you can begin to understand the basis of this fear. Does she want more resources? Do you think that's what it is? Does she want a more handsome man? Is that what it is? Does she want somebody smarter? Is that what it is? So if you can ask those questions and answer those questions, well, answer these questions here. Are you smart enough? Are you handsome enough? Do you make enough money? See, these are all questions that you have to ask yourself, and it all comes down to how you feel about yourself. So you have to be careful of how you project your own opinions about yourself onto someone else. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because it could be true. She could be craving these things that you don't possess. If that's the case, she doesn't really like you that much. She's looking for something else. Why in the world would you want to stop her from getting that? Or at least going after that? Why wouldn't you just release her? Let her go. Why? The bottom line is, if you think that's the case, then you're the fool for wasting your time on somebody. I always say like who likes you in terms of quote unquote love, but you're the fool for wasting your time on that. And if it's not true, then you're the problem, because you're thinking these thoughts and projecting them onto her. Either way it goes, it's your responsibility. But if you don't realize and recognize that, then this fear can really take hold, and some really, really nasty things can start happening. Now, because either you're dealing with someone who you shouldn't be dealing with, and you know that, but you're doing it anyway because you're so quote unquote in love. Or number two, you have some issues within yourself that you need to address, but instead of doing that, you're projecting them onto someone else. Few different symptoms can come about. So let's talk about the symptoms of the fear of loss, the loss of love. Symptom number one is jealousy. Jealousy is the habit of being suspicious of friends and loved ones without any reasonable evidence of sufficient grounds. The habit of accusing wife or husband of infidelity without grounds, general suspicion of everyone, absolute faith in no one. Now, I think the key here is in the first sentence where it says that being suspicious of friends and loved ones without any reasonable evidence of sufficient grounds. If you have reasonable evidence, you should act on that evidence and probably shut that relationship down. If you don't have any evidence, then there's a sickness here, this symptom here. This is a problem. You need to talk to someone about that. I can't help you with that. You need someone to go deep. You need therapy. Now, symptom number 2, fault finding. Fault finding is the habit of finding fault with friends, relatives, business associates, and loved ones upon the slightest provocation or without any cause whatsoever. Have you ever had someone who is always trying to find some fault, always trying to point something out? It's like you haven't done anything, but they just constantly nag, right? That could be the manifestation of their fear of the loss of love. Maybe they're afraid of losing you. Are you the same way? You got a lot of work to do. And that's not anything to be ashamed of, right? Maybe you have a lot of work to do, and you need to get yourself right before you go diving into a relationship. The third and final symptom of the fear of loss of love, according to Napoleon Hill, is gambling. That is one I did not see coming. Gambling. How does that have anything to do with the fear of the loss of love? Well, according to Napoleon Hill, gambling, the habit of gambling, stealing, cheating, and otherwise taking hazardous chances to provide money for loved ones, with the belief that love can be bought. The habit of spending beyond one's means or incurring debts to provide gifts for loved ones, with the object of making a favorable showing. Insomnia, nervousness, lack of persistence, weakness of will, lack of self-control, lack of self-reliance, and a bad temper. That, my friends, is deep. But when I think about it now, it makes more sense. Gambling, when you think of gambling in terms of taking chances, maybe not good chances, right? What you're doing is you're trying to come up with more than what you have fast enough to keep this person from leaving you in your mind, to give them what they want. Well, if your weight is not up, this is what I like to say, if you can't pay what you weigh, then let it go. That means you're probably out of your league, or you're in a league that you don't want to be in the first place. If you have these feelings of inadequacy, think about why. Are they intergenerated, or was it something that someone said? And if it's something that someone said, you got to do some really deep soul searching. Figure out if there's someone that you want to be involved with in the first place. For my young men, I like to say, get your weight up, right? Get your weight up. But not for the reasons that you think that I'm saying this. It's not get your financial weight up, make more money so that you can get these women who require more money. It's so that you can have a better life or create a better life for yourself. And you'll find that once you do that, the right person, you'll attract the right person. That way, if you do feel like spending a dime or two on somebody, you're not doing it and racking up a whole bunch of debt along the way, right? Say, taking a cruise, right? Cruise is fun, right? She might want to go on a cruise. I'm talking to the guys here, right? She might want to go on a cruise, and you might think it's a great idea. You like cruise too, right? Now, you could go out and run up a credit card bill to go on this cruise with no plan on how you're going to pay it off, or you can do something stupid if you say you don't have that type of credit, but you do something stupid to try to make the money real fast because you want to impress her. That may not work out too right. Or you can pay the cost to be the boss, pay the price, get your weight up, and if you deemed that the appropriate course of action, you were going to go on a cruise, you felt, you know, she deserved that cruise, and you wanted to go on that cruise, you could just, swipe and go on your cruise, and not have to worry about how you're going to pay that back, because the money's there, and then you don't have to worry about these other things, this like insomnia and nervousness and weakness of will and all of these other things. You see, the bottom line is men can often overextend themselves trying to impress a woman. Definitely not the course of action you want to go down. Because you need to remember one important thing. Like Mr. Hill said, love. He didn't say love can't be bought. He said men acting as if love could be bought, but it can't. You can't buy love. You can buy yourself some attention, but when you start thinking that attention equates to love, you're gonna have some serious problems. So just understand you can't buy love. Once you understand that, I think that tendency to want to gamble, take chances, to try to get some money, to try to impress someone, I think that'll dwindle down a little bit. So those are the 3 symptoms of the fear of loss of love: jealousy, fault finding, and gambling. Where do you see the fear of the loss of love manifesting in the lives of people that you know? Your friends, guys in your circle, even acquaintances, people at work. Hopefully, it's very hard to find in your life, but if you see it, you can address it. And hopefully I've given you something in this video that would help you understand it a little bit more. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the fear of the loss of love. What have you seen? I've seen a lot. But what have you seen as far as how people react and in terms of jealousy and why they do some of the things they do? I'd love to hear some of your insights on that. Let me know in the comment section below. On that note, I will see you guys on the next video. Peace. So you're either growing or you're dying, and it's your choice. Choose wisely.